This is How Are You with Sippy.
Hello, everybody.
We're talking about how are you and the topic today is with about money because one of the reasons I think I'm feeling good now is just because I got better about attributing expectations to what I knew I could acquire and how much I was going to end up earning, in certain periods of time and adapting that way.
Sorry, just grabbing a drink.
Now go for it, dude. Um but yeah, today I probably spent $20 today, and it's funny because um, I was telling Sippy this yesterday. I don't prepare any of my meals by cooking. Most of the shit that I eat is just it. It kind of does follow some prioritizing and the nutrition of how much protein and fibers is in the prepackaged stuff. But pretty much everything I eat is prepackaged these days.
So today you spend $20 on just food.
Well, I kind of treated myself today. I'm not gonna lie. To me, this is
Mm-hmm.
the way that I'm perceiving it is that's like a fucking delight to me, because um, like I said, I usually live with an expectation that my meal is gonna come from the freezer, and it's not gonna be like baller's delight. so So yeah, I legit just got like a fucking quesadilla, but it's a one that's made by people who know how to do know what they're actually doing.
Yeah,
So Sippy, you said you prepare your meals, right?
I do,
What is
and I
your
do that. Sorry, go on.
what do you usually like to dine on besides ass?
Pussy.
Dude, at least you swing for both teams.
Yeah, but no. I've actually been cooking on a mostly vegetarian diet for like the better part of 2 years now. Ever since I've been cooking for myself and managing my budget in when it comes to meals, I decided to give vegetarianism a try because in here in the UK, it's actually a lot cheaper to just buy a bunch of vegetables and cook with that. Meat is kind of expensive here in comparison.
Yeah, I kind of noticed for where I shop, I started just seeing just comparing everything in the freezer section, because even though it's all crap, you can kind of find the best looking turd. It's a sea,
Yeah,
it's like a sea of turds, but within that sea, there's there's like a little like corn diamond, that snuck
Jesus
in.
Christ, man.
Well, that's how I see it. Even though I eat frozen shit, some of it is some vegan shit, because that's just what's being made available this fucking 2019 life.
I think that's good, honestly. I'm glad that more people are open to it. So
So before you
healthy.
were a vegetarian, how does that compare for you, just daily, I guess?
Well, before my mom would just make all the meals, and she would be like happy doing that, just cooking for the whole family. So I didn't need to cook for myself really. Um, how does it compare? Well,
Do you feel any different, or
oh yeah, actually, I do feel a lot different. When I pay attention to the nutrients and like calories in, calories out, I can actually be a lot more energetic throughout the day. I can definitely feel it at work. When I don't eat right, I definitely get a lot more tired at work and I can't focus as much.
Yeah, I have like a balance factor myself with like hunger. Like if I feel hungry, I'll feel cranky like emotionally. Like I kind of do like get into
You get
fits of
hangry.
rage. No, I'm just kidding. Um
Gets hangry.
I do. And like but it I do feel good inside when I'm hungry. Like I feel so light and energetic when I'm hungry for just fucking like comfort food or something. But because the longer you wait to eat, I notice like the more you want like really bad shit. You know,
Oh yeah.
you want
Oh
to
yeah.
like fucking eat.
Mm-hmm.
Savage.
You just want to devour a Big Mac or 20.
The Impossible Whopper.
Mm-hmm. When
Yeah,
you're hungry,
Burger
you
King's
you you
not
would
the
call
only
the
one.
Impossible Whopper like gourmet 5-star food.
Is it? Or memes? Memes or free?
Memes like when you're hungry, you would call that pile of crap gourmet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know. Oh, I know.
Mhm.
But still, it's like compared to the past. Like I swear, it's just the past. There's always going to be a better situation. But I guess that's why like I like to do these types of shows and shit cuz I'm more focused on just heading in a general direction. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like when I was younger, I never really thought of like my physical and being a self as like something I need to invest in like more consciously. Cuz like it's easy to get caught up in like shit that happens in the real world, like just fucking pursuing a degree or pursuing a career or a diploma or a certificate or you're studying or like any time you're just diving in to like a craft or a work, it's easy to just like forget to take care of this thing.
Mhm.
But that's actually why I wanted to work at Amazon, because I want a job that like enables me to move more. Because honestly, when I was teaching, I got tired of being in the same room and kind of, you know, I could really just run around in circles, I guess.
So have you ever tried to um cook for yourself
Um,
like regularly?
it's funny because I know it's like always been cheaper when I've tried. Like even with just rice and stuff, like anything that you can just make into something.
Yeah.
Like I used to purchase like a lot of just vegetables and stuff, but and it was cheaper to get like you can get like frozen meat in bulk at my store, and that's like the cheapest way to get protein, like in terms of like a animal based meat, so I can fucking chow.
Animal-based meat as opposed to
Instead of there's plant meat now. I don't know, like lab meat, fucking dog,
lab meat.
dog. The other, the fourth.
Dog meat?
They're yeah, they're they're like an alien animal. They get their own section. No,
The
anyways.
mystery section.
Secret restaurants only. Um, nah, but in terms of cooking, like It's that's like that's something I should definitely be working on. I'm fucking terrible at that. But Zack does
When
it.
I
Like my Lunk.
yeah,
And I just watch him. I never participate.
you cook vicariously through him. So when I'm feeling lazy, I will either go and get some fast food. That's like if I'm ultra mega like bottom level lazy. But if I'm just like semi lazy, the thing I make is like I just get a bunch of pasta,
Mhm.
boil it up, and just get a like a jar of pasta sauce, and that'll be my dinner.
Do you make the sauce yourself? Is it like a sippy saucy sauce, or is it like custom?
Well, typically when I cook, I do make the sauce myself, custom made. But when I'm feeling lazy, I just get a jar of like pre-made sauce, just heat it up, pour it over the pasta, and there's your dinner. But that's like that's enough to at least carry me through the workday. That whole wheat pasta is a really good source of carbs.
Have you ever heard of like black bean? I think they have.
I don't have black beans here, unfortunately.
Get that garbage out of here. No, I'm just kidding. Heretic.
I haven't seen it in the stores at all. I get um butter beans, I get chickpeas, I get kidney beans.
And then I punch him. I just gotta punch him in the kidneys a few times, just to let him know. They gotta understand the dialogue.
Gotta make sure they know who's in charge.
um, I was gonna say, I I actually it was way easier, and I feel like you're enabled more in Japan when I used to live there, um, to like be able to afford like good grocery meat. They had like they had like smaller portions in America. In America, it's like you spend more and also get more kind of at the same time. Um, so I just basically made eggs a shit ton in Japan and like mixed that with noodles. But so I was never like inventive,
Yeah.
like cooking to me is like it's like getting into like the chemistry, and I don't do that. I just like sprinkle shit, I'm going like
Right.
this like the whole time. I can't I can't flambe.
Well, here's the thing. You just gotta get a little bit of experience with like your basic sauces and spices, and then like once you get a base idea of that, then you can just like sprinkle whatever. That's basically how I'll make my pasta sauce. Just get a tin of tomatoes, chop up some onions, garlic, and then like salt, pepper, smoked paprika, basil.
Do you buy that stuff
Bob's your uncle.
like ground up, or do you like get this shit and then do it yourself?
I get the shit and do it myself.
Do you tell it it's a bad bitch when you hit it? No, I'm kidding. Were you taught that, or did you just kind of like pick it up on your own?
I picked it up. To me, cooking is surprisingly intuitive. I can understand that for some people it's harder than for other people, but really, it's not that hard if you give it a go. Watch some other people do it for a bit and get some ideas brewing in your head. It's not that difficult.
I feel like for like the only reason that anyone wouldn't do it or start doing it is just because you're almost certain that you're gonna like either regret it or just make something that's not gonna be as good as you're gonna want it to be or something like that.
Hmm.
It's I feel like I got more gains from just experimenting, like with flavors that you know might not necessarily go together, or Um, my first big experiment with cooking, I guess, was when I did fried rice and just like because I always had my own way of like boiling it, nothing special, uh, but I just started experimenting with like putting different sauce and like eggs and meat in there and shrimp sometimes, because that one always just stuck out to me. Like if you just have rice, you can just kind of like put whatever, and it's like awesome.
Yeah, dude. It's
like
important to. Sorry, go on.
like with pasta, like you had.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, experimentation is so important. But it's like that risk you gotta take. Sometimes you just gotta take some L's. I took some L's while cooking, and well, that taught me to not take those L's again.
Hmm. Th-
So like, if you have a meal that you know how to cook, it's important to like try and make a little bit different every time. Use that opportunity to experiment because you know how to make most of it, but then you change something up a bit, and then if it works out, then you learn like a new way to do the same thing. If not, then you learn that you shouldn't do that.
and then you slap yourself. No, I'm kidding. But no, you're right. Like I mean, it's weird to say that I don't cook because when I think about it, I've definitely done some of the things you're describing, like just like starting with something and then being like, oh shit. I remember the first time I tried to make rice, I legit put it in a frying pan, and this is like my junior year of college, by the way, without boiling it in water, and just like thought I was like, why isn't it? And I was like, oh my god, it's dry because there's no water. Like that was my first mishap with cooking ever.
Well, there you go. You learned something from that experience. You learned that you gotta boil the rice first. It doesn't boil in the pan.
And without water, I don't know why I
Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. It's like chemistry. You can't say. I mean, you know,
it is.
you
It
can say a lot
is.
of shit, but I'm keeping it.
Yeah, it's definitely important to try and cook for yourself. It's cheaper on your budget. It's healthier for you. It doesn't have to be so hard. Vegetables are really easy to cook. I'm scared of cooking meat most of the time. That's why I don't do it as well. Sometimes I'll cook chicken, fry it up, but most of the time I avoid meat because it's just harder to deal with. Like vegetables are so easy. You can make a stir fry super super easy.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I've seen Long do it a few times himself. That guy. It's funny. Long actually did the uh cooking at Wham. Like all the shit we ate
Oh,
was from him. That'd be funny. Maybe one day we'll have you do a cook off with him, like in some crazy future where
I was just about to say something like that. Me and him collabing on a meal or have a cook
that'd
off or something.
be funny. I'm not opposed to that future. Just let the record
Me
state it.
neither. Me neither. As long as
So
he's like a big boy, right? So
yeah, he can eat.
when he
He's
cooks,
eaten a few people in his life.
yeah, a few children, a few babies. So like yeah, when he cooks, he gets that protein in.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's why I'm saying like if you can make the plant diet work, like it's really all just about paying attention to numbers. I know it's fucking boring, but just don't like look at the numbers and then just throw them away. Like just get it, process it, and then you can focus on more fun shit. You know,
Yeah, literally, you
like
just do
slapping boys.
you do the number shit once, you memorize the general guidelines, and then you forget about it. You know, and then all the shit that you learned, it's all just intuitive in your head. You
Yeah,
you then you just know like, oh, if I want
bounce.
some protein, I put some chicken with my rice, whatever.
Protein.
Protein.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I do it every day, and I'm fucking barrel chesting it right now. I got all the numbers. I used to.
Oh hell yeah.
I I actually when I went to the beer store or beer distributor down the street with Lonk, this was like a year ago or so. In the store, I wanted to figure out like which beer had the most alcohol and like the lowest calorie ratio and like the like lowest price point. So I tried to like find this fucking like this like slope line of fucking perfectness.
Did you find it?
Yeah, it was a natural light. or or natural ice, I think, was somewhere in the top 3. I kept the top 3 in my head. Michelob Ultra was up there too. Cause I still like drink sometimes. Not gonna lie. Even though I'm talking about being well the whole time.
Yeah, you can't really drink much when you're trying to get swole.
Triz, you don't want to like develop in the mid. That's where it goes. It goes right to your ass.
It goes right to your pregnancy.
Yeah, I don't know. It's good to like
beer baby.
It's good to have like sometimes to do what you want to do and then choose more discipline and then you know I'm hoping that we get to a point where like we're so enabled to just undergo or live by our own self-discipline. Like that's kind of like the super future.
It's hard, man.
It is hard.
It's super hard. I'm trying it now.
Super future.
I've been trying it for a while. It's a slow process, but the super future is coming.
And you've made bigger gains than I have personally. Like I kind of got a bit of a head start, I think, but like that's why I know this is like, we're at least I feel like headed in the right direction.
Yeah,
We need to bring people up, baby, all people.
All people, everyone. Yes,
except for Sippy, we can't. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
What an asshole. We gotta bring him down.
Yeah. Let's specifically single people out decisively. Don't worry, guys. I have reasons, okay? He's a confirmed murderer. Just trust my sources, okay? I got it. I got this. Shh.
He eats children and works for ISIS also, by the
way. He works for Trump, ISIS, and Russia. Don't ask me like how that. He's in Laos.
He's in Laos.
He's just fucking. He's out in the fucking jungle. I don't know.
Don't ask me about my sources. I'm still gathering the evidence. Look, I got the conclusion first, evidence later.
Dude, that's why we had to burn the Amazon to find it.
No, did I burn the Amazon? I burned the evidence.
Oh man. Oh, well. That's so funny how easy we got off topic. But I'm glad this reminds me of the Chills Boys podcast where we basically did this for an hour. Like we started with like 10 minutes of like the whole community and as far as we've come, and then just like talking about like a bunch of other shit that made like no sense. Behold human
But
shit.
let's try and stay on topic here.
Yeah, true. But uh I mean, and we did talk a lot about how like meal prep affects it, like, how much you make affects it. And obviously that balance is there. It's always going to be budgeting, but um I feel like I I learned best from, again, kind of like the cooking uh like fuck up comparison. Sometimes you do have to fall flat a bit to like realize your limits and then learn from that, but
Hmm.
if it's any consolation, we try to offer like the words and wisdom of just like having, you know spent money irresponsibly, kind of absent-mindedly, like day to day, just like going out too much maybe, or you're just not making as much as you might think you are. Balling a little too hard in the clutch, you know that shit happened to me when I was a teenager. What about you, Sippy?
Have I ever fallen too deep in the clutch?
I don't know, like, have
Uh,
you ever felt yourself like leaning too far one way in terms of like saving too much maybe, or spending too much money, and how it makes you feel?
I don't think I ever spent too much. The closest I came was in college when none of my friends had jobs, but we all liked um, drinking on the weekend.
Mm.
Like just after college, we'd get some raunchy, nasty, cheap ass booze, and we just get shit faced in the park, right?
Mm-hmm.
And none of us had jobs, and
Okay.
none of us had money except me. I had a little bit,
Uh-huh.
so I would buy the booze, and I was blowing through my money pretty quick. I didn't even realize how quick it was going until I only had a little bit left. Then I was like, shit, put the brakes on this bitch. But I never like spent to the point of like excessiveness where I completely run out of money and have to get a credit card or some shit like that. I never did that.
Yeah. I mean, I see where that comes from too. Like, you're hanging out with your friends, right? So, like,
Yeah.
for you, it was like social purchasing, but here we are now where we got Sippy, ascended with like, I guess a new approach. But like that's cool that you got to like, you know, come to that realization.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I for I guess for me, like, I just try to always stay around even,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit over, like in my account, like,
Yeah. A little bit over is good.
but you know, I when I was younger, I got really anxious because I remember when I bought my first car when I was 15, and I got a job like just to help pay for it, and like it one of the times that I had to make a monthly payment and you just don't have enough. And
Mm,
I'm, like I said, I'm so lucky that my family helped me in that situation. But like,
yeah.
if that, you know that isn't gonna always happen, and that's why it didn't happen again, because I had to either learn or keep fucking up and keep falling on that safety net. But
Yeah.
there are some people who might fall on it and just like let it catch them every time. But I know some people that like have that, and then when they fall, they realize it and try to adapt in certain ways from not being able to make a payment.
I definitely had to have a safety net catch me at a couple times, and Honestly, relying on a safety net that you're not sure is going to be there all the time, it's freaking scary.
Well,
That's one of the things that really motivated me to become independent, is to be my own safety net, because relying on other people, it's really risky business. You're not always sure that they're going to come through for you.
and not only is it like a trust issue, but it's it's essentially like you're saying, you either possess the autonomy or not. Like it has to come from within, but it is good to have, like, I guess, a support mentality, you know what I mean? Like it does start like with the self, and once you get to that place where you're balancing, your learning, your personal life, your money, all these things that we keep talking about with how are you. Um, but yeah, with the autonomy with money is you have to just figure out for yourself in some way how to get to that point. Um, and I guess when I think about it, this is like a very specific time period for us. I'm 26, and Sippy's in his early 20s, right?
Yeah.
And so the things that we're talking about that we're dealing with are things that are like important for anyone who's trying to gain independence. It doesn't have to be necessarily at this time, um, but all these factors like always come into play, and
Mhm.
um, and yeah, it feels good when you have the perspective to know that um, my job pays me enough to like afford this, space that I have. I can call it my own, and that's something that like you don't ever really want to lose sight of, because that in itself is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's fucking awesome.
So I mean, if you're making enough to handle your little ecosystem, then like I'd say you're doing pretty good.
I'd say so. Hell yeah. Nowadays, I've kind of swung in the opposite direction, where I'm like too afraid to spend any money.
hmm
It just all comes from the shit that I had to deal with before, but
Well,
yeah, I think it's definitely important to like, if you have some cash lying around, it's good to treat yourself to a nice thing now and again.
yeah.
But like, you don't want to. I don't think people should see money as something to just be spent. Like, if you have money, then you have to spend it. Like, no. Only if you have money in excess, you should treat yourself to something nice. Reward yourself for all your hard work, make yourself feel good, but always have some money in reserve, because you never know when a rainy day is gonna come.
And um that to me connects with like what you were talking about earlier about getting to that point where um you're your own safety net. Uh when when you get to that spot where you're not only aware of how much you're making and how much you're spending, but you're it almost becomes like a passive skill. Like you just can compulsively, or not compulsively, but like on maybe a daily or more frequent basis than like previously in your life, you can get to a point where you're just checking because you always just have the desire to genuinely know, how you're doing in that, space, in that like financial area. And when you get that information, then you can know Like, okay, is today a day where I can like fucking ball, or is today a day where I like gotta just shut the door and put on Netflix or some shit? Like, I don't know. It always varies.
Wait, what do you mean? Shut
Oh,
the door, watch Netflix. Is that like a day where you don't ball out? You don't spend no money? Is that what you mean?
I guess, yeah. I don't know. It's just a like a quick hand example, but I mean, whatever you choose to do is what you choose to do. Like
Yeah.
inexpensively, but still like fulfilling in some way. Like even if it's smaller, even if it's just like, you know, as long as you find your time meaningful, like you don't have to feel the need to spend all that money. I guess going back to
Hmm.
what you were saying.
Or even save it.
Yeah, I mean, and do it like having that behavior where like you value time spent without having to lose money, then there you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like walking in the park, there's an example. That's just an example of a thing you can do that you could enjoy that doesn't cost anything.
Hmm.
And it could, just use your time in a way that'll may, provide balance. Maybe you're tired or maybe you should do something else. That's why it's like I that's why I love this series because you can just always go on about like what your choices are and how they're all related.
Hell yeah.
And who better to talk about it with than you?
Oh, thanks, my man. Lovely to be here.
Yeah.
So I think I think the mistake that a lot of people make with their money is, like I said, they just see it as a number, and if they have any number more than zero, then they can make it go to zero by spending it on like whatever booze or like I don't know new clothes, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think it's like I guess that's what I was trying to say with like those daily purchases,
Hmm.
like it's almost like you don't even plan for it or anything. Like it's just something you enjoy doing and it ends up being expensive. Like it comes at your financial expense.
Yeah, you just stop paying attention to your finances and you just spend money on impulse. And here's here's a funny bit. I base that assumption
Uh-huh.
on memes that I see on Facebook because I see a lot of memes that are just like, oh, check my bank account,
Hmm.
it's $0, 14 cents, and I'm like, how in the hell do people actually live like that, where their bank account is constantly at like close to zero, or like you know those memes that are like, oh, I finally found the motherfucker who's been spending my money, and it's someone like choking their shadow or something.
Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like that shit. Like, obviously it's memes, but memes are based in reality. And I'm just thinking to myself, how the hell can people live like that, where they're constantly spending their money even though they don't need to?
Well, Sippy, that's why it's like as even though I think we're both on the same page as like what the better option would be in that type of situation. Like
Mm.
if you're gonna you know if you can confront that from within yourself, like that demon that like, oh, I want to just compulsively buy this thing, like you know uh like point to purchase items at checkout. Like whenever you go to buy something, there's usually like candy or shit, like some items that are displayed like neck along the registers and stuff because they're hoping that you'll just
Yeah.
pick it up, and spend more money.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but you know that's something that you see in the outside world, but like you can control that from within. You can just say like, well, I'm just gonna choose no here, you know, like make it an active process for something that might not otherwise be. But like it's kind of like how speedrunning works too. Like you can develop this like a muscle memory almost. Like it's they skills are things that can be rehearsed. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I was born with these like ideas. I just came to these conclusions myself, but
It's funny you mention that because that's exactly what I do in the stores. When I see like a bunch of flashy shit, unhealthy shit, that's basically screaming by me, I tell myself in my head, ignore that bullshit because they want you to fall for this like scam. I actively tell myself, keep walking, don't look, don't buy. It's bullshit. It's a trap. And if you buy that shit, you fall for their trap.
yeah.
Don't fall for their trap, man.
And that's only one example. Like I think
Yeah.
the internet made that kind of erupt. So
Oh my god, so much.
it's easy to click. It's really easy to click shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Oh my
Amazon
god.
knows.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we're earning off of it.
The bunch of the shit that I see people buy every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes like all day I'm just walking around. I'm like, who the fuck buys this shit? Or like, more importantly, who the fuck sells this shit?
Yeah, there's some like crazy like just Amazon sellers, like that like
Yeah,
have a niche market
yeah, you know.
that you'll know about, once you see what's going on in there. But
Oh, dude.
you can only imagine. People are, people.
Yeah, people are people. They don't.
Freaks.
They just
Freak.
monkeys,
Yeah,
mongoloids,
yeah.
teammates.
Teammates.
No, but it's like people just don't think about that shit, and that's what we're here for. We're here to make them think about.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's why I was saying, like, if you have,
Present some ideas forward,
yeah,
at
just
least.
put something forward. Like it. Uh, I mean, if people don't agree, it's chill, whatever. But like, I hope the people that can build off of this at least. Like, I'm not really a fan of just like listen to the words that people say and then just do it. Like,
Yeah, no.
just make it your own. Like, it can be your own. Uh, that's why I try to talk in generalities like a lot.
Yeah, sometimes people put too much faith in other people. They expect other people to just tell them what to do because they think that'll fix their problems. No, like true change comes from within. You have to want it yourself, and you have to believe it's possible for you to do it. The two essential steps for like proper major change.
I couldn't agree more, man. I could not agree more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what's brought me to this point. Of just like keeping the thoughts home more. Like I guess that's more what it is. Because if your thoughts aren't home, then you're thinking more about candy and all that shit you're talking about. Like flashy shit.
Yeah.
That like you really got to think about like how it matters to you and that type of shit.
Mm-hmm. So, what I wanted to talk about now is how I believe people should maybe think about money instead.
Uh-huh.
First of all, you gotta realize what money is to you. It is you are spending your life to get money. Hours, days from your life to get money, right?
Yep.
So like say you get like $10 an hour. every hour of your life you get $10.
Mm-hmm.
Every week you work 40 hours. That's a lot of time out of your life if you just keep working and working and working. So you work your ass off for that money. I think a human life hour should be worth way more than like $10. But essentially, like if you spend $10 of for like fast food, for example, you gotta think that's you're paying with an hour of your life. I
Yeah,
think then it starts to hold more weight.
and it's also for, or typically for, a cause that might not be like, what you want to behold for yourself, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, you're right on the money, like talking about fucking money, but you know like we kind of came into a world where like this is like what we'll use to, I guess, exchange and like fucking acquire this shit. But
Mhm.
like it's like you're saying, there's other approaches to like try in terms of like getting people involved and you know being able to get the shit that you need in your life, you know with considering like how many hours you're putting into what type of work and how much you're getting out of it from like what we have available in our current system.
Mhm.
So you know I think it's a good idea to always like say that you know it's weird living in a world where any people out there could see, you know, any type of labor or like function of human life as being, worth something that like putting that $10 into perspective, like that $10 per hour, um that with 40 hours per week could probably, afford you like a a temporary space, and probably basic perishables, um
Mhm.
but we're human beings, we have to understand our own potential and how much we all are getting, and uh and what we do, and like you're saying, how much time we put in.
Whenever you're thinking about that bottle of booze, you gotta ask yourself, is 1 hour of me slaving away at that shitty ass job, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it to keep slaving away at that dead end job week by week just to break even on my bank? I would say hell no.
And you know and then I guess once you answer that question, another question is like, uh is it worth my time to look around? Maybe, if if I'm feeling like where I'm at right now isn't working, like what do you have to do to look around and change that, right?
Look around, like, what do you mean?
Well, like I got to my current like position because I found out that I could just earn $3 more per hour from my last job, that I was under the impression that like it was like meeting my time for the amount of money that I was getting, like standard, like you were saying,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know. So now I can save more money up because I'm earning more money per hour, like you're saying. Like it's it's not a bad thing to really think about how much your time is worth and how much you want to invest in yourself and like put out, and be a little bit demanding about it, I guess.
Oh, it's not only not bad, I think it's super important.
Yeah.
It not only builds your self-worth because you start to realize that you're worth more than your job is giving you. You also get that urge to like um get more for yourself, do a bit better for yourself. You start to realize you're worth more than this. So I would like to share my success story, if I may.
Sure.
So I started my first job at the food factory. I was working through an agency, and a recruitment agency, who was paying minimum wage, and it was enough to pay the bills. At that point of me starting the work, I was still in a mindset that work is just something you do to pay the bills and buy food.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally buy something nice for yourself if you like save up for months and months on that something. So I was fine just working minimal wage because, well, it did its job. It paid the bills. It got me food. That's what work is for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I started to think. Then I started to realize that if I earned just a little bit more, I could start living on my own and take care of myself. So I got myself a full-time position at that factory. They were hiring at the time, so I applied. They were practically begging me to accept the contract because as an agency worker, I was one of the best.
Mm.
So they took me on, and one of the perks was being employed full time. You get steady, like 40 hours a week of work, and the pay per hour was a little bit better as well if you were on contract. So that little bit more money was just enough for me to find myself a place and pay the bills myself, buy food for myself, etc. So that's what I've been doing this year since March. I've been living on my own since March. But then I had a sort of awakening moment with money.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it just as a means to pay the bills anymore. I saw money as a tool that I could use to improve my own life. So that's one of the reasons why I went to seek out this better paying job at Amazon that I'm at now. So the work that I do for Amazon, I sort of think of it as working for myself, towards myself, because the excess money that I get from Amazon, I can then invest that back into myself, into my own life.
And like you said, that comes from like your decision making. Like you've been making these decisions to get to this point where you can be on your own.
Yeah.
It ain't easy. Gotta stay off that booze. No, I'm just kidding. I know you're good. I know you're good.
Yeah, man. I'm all clean now.
He's a clean boy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that is a great
Maybe
climb, Sippy, and
maybe
keep
with that
climbing.
crap
You
shit.
know,
Oh, I will. I
I'll
will,
fucking see
brother.
you in heaven.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean like, and again, I just like your mindset too. Like that, it's think of it's also about seeing it the way that in that sense that you've just been constantly improving that way, and like you can keep building upon it. You're seeing your world as something that like you can acquire these tools like that are gonna clearly and objectively help you.
Mm-hmm.
and the way in which you do that is has clearly improved over time. So I guess that's why, like, if there's one thing I should probably emphasize, I guess, with all this talk that we've had is um, to demand, like value from yourself and from the people that you deal with. So
Yeah.
just in an encouraging way. Like encourage people to pursue their best selves always for sure. Um, and that is being clearly like shown through you right now. So good job, Sippy.
Thank you, my friend. Honestly, thank you so much.
Yeah, and and I'm right there too. Uh my path was a little different. I think I think I went to. I always felt like I had to be like seeking like a lot of money, and then I started to realize like how much I actually needed, and
Hmm.
like how I can earn an excess, but not like so much of an excess that like I'm giving too much of my life, like you were saying, like too many hours, or
Yeah.
there really is a balance to be had. You know,
So you came to the same place, but from the other end.
yeah, essentially. But but again, this is the best I've ever felt. Like I can't really show that off any other way than by just saying it out loud. Like uh that's why I feel like uh we're doing this right now. So um
Mhm.
and fuck, it's I'm just excited for not only like these moments we're having, but like the moments that are gonna keep coming. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
hell yeah, they're not gonna stop.
yeah, if people are ever in a bad place, as long as people are still there, like we just want to encourage that. Like as long as you're here, we'll be here.
Hell yeah, man.
So get excited about that at least.
Now that I am doing well myself, I'm in a good position to like uplift other people. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, we're all kings out here.
We all kangs and quangs.
I guess we can wrap it up from here. This has been quite, but a very very good talk. That
Hmm.
went. It was kind of like a nice rocket robot on wheels custom roller coaster.
if
Fucking going
I
whoa. You can fucking do
if I
twirlies and
may,
shit. Twirlies, baby.
if I
Play that game,
if I may, I would just like to add one last point that I'd like to make.
please.
Yeah, so the stuff I was talking about, I'm glad you mentioned your story because it got me thinking. Like this works the other way as well. Some people like slave away at a job that makes them so much money, but they don't really do anything with it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all their focus is just getting that number higher and higher. But again, what's the point if you're just wasting your life away at work, working so hard, if you're not gonna invest that money back into yourself and improving your life, making yourself happier? People
Mm-hmm.
say you can't buy happiness. No, not outright. But if you use your money as a tool to improve yourself and your life, then yes, it most definitely can.
Yeah, and it's just all about the self, man. Like it's all about how do you do it? Like how are you doing it? Like what?
Hmm.
Like it's not a bad question to ask, man. It's just not bad. It's like it can, you know, just it's got to come inside and then behold it on the outside. But like you got to remember where to start. You know what I mean? We're all are responsible for ourselves, like we've been talking about, and one answer for one person might be different for another person, but
Definitely.
all this information is just really valuable because it comes from every direction. It comes from like a place of abundance or a place of little, but
Hmm.
regardless, we all want to be someplace that we like to be and want to be.
Basically, if there's one thing, if you're gonna listen to me only for one thing, let it be this. Please ask yourself, be brave enough to ask yourself, am I worth it? Am I worth what I'm doing for my money right now?
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Ask yourself that, and if the answer is no, never be afraid to change it up.
Good fucking call, buddy. And
Thanks, my man.
I'm gonna end it on that because it's like 4:20 also.
Hell yeah.
4:20. Bam, 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 bam. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
Dude, yeah. We might do another episode some other time, guys. And thanks again for the host, Ninja. I didn't really mention that because we were fucking lost in the sauce.
Yeah, big time.
But yeah, it's great having everyone. And we'll do more of these for sure.
Hell yeah.
Bye,
I had
everybody.
a lot of fun tonight.